What's going on, everybody? We are in the heart of the Gulch, and my name is Tony Mendoza, your host, and today we have a New York City resident that turned to Nashville, the one and only real estate guy that you can ever go to, Mr. Jacob Kupin. How are you doing today,
How's
sir?
it going, buddy? Good to be here.
Yeah, man, we're doing good, man.
Yeah.
How are you doing, man? You looking sharp like usual.
I'm good. Got to get dressed up for Mr. Tony Mendoza.
Hey, you know what?
Part of the Gulch. Let's go.
We appreciate that you are on with us today.
Yeah,
and not only that, I'm excited to learn more about your story.
Sure.
Because one thing about Jacob that I've realized is that, you know, when it comes to interviews, when it comes to seeing some content that you have done, it's actually kind of hard to find you, man. So I'm excited to kind of give you a little bit of a profile. So I'm super excited. So kind of tell me your story before you moved to Nashville. So obviously from New York City.
Yep, from Westchester County, right outside the city. Born and raised, grew up there. Went to school in Pennsylvania for 2 years.
Yeah.
Studied, actually, was pre-med for a little bit.
Smart man.
Neuroscience, pre-med.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a lot. I realized that wasn't the road I wanted to take. Started getting involved in music programs up there. Came to Nashville for an internship. Loved the city.
And this is when you went into talent management, right?
Yep. So artist management, live events, award show sector, all that kind of stuff. I'm a performer as well. So played some music. And so was here for a summer, loved it.
Yeah.
Called my parents, said, hey, I'm dropping out of college in Pennsylvania and I hope I get into Belmont here, and haven't looked back since.
And then went to Belmont. But you know what? So we got to also talk about a little bit about New York City, though.
Sure.
I'm not going to let you off the hook that quick, all right? So when we talk about New York City, what's one thing you miss that Nashville does not have that New York has?
You know, the ease of getting around, mass transit. I think it's nice to pop on a subway, get to different parts of the city.
Everywhere. You can go everywhere.
Everywhere.
You just got to watch your back in some spots that you go to,
a little bit, but it's a good spot, and the good food, the shows. I mean, there's just a lot. There's an energy there. You know, I actually feel almost more relaxed in like Grand Central Terminal around crowds of people.
It's because everyone's moving, man. You're a mover.
Everyone's got an agenda. They got a place to go. I like it.
You like to move around. You like the energy. You like the business mindset. And that's one thing I can tell you, Jacob, that I've noticed about you since knowing you, man, is you have a business mindset. You go after something. And even if you don't initially get it, right, because there's different things that you've done, you find a way. You're scrappy like that to make it happen. Now, one thing I got to talk about when it comes to New York City, man, is have you been lately?
I've been lately. I visit usually 2 to 3 times a year. I'm a big Broadway show person, so I'll go up, see some shows, see some family. Grandmother lives on the east side of the city, so I'll go visit her.
Oh, and speaking of massive transit, actually, too, have you ever been through a subway when it stops? Have you ever
been through a subway when it stops?
At the end point. At the end of the day, have you ever rode a subway? And then late at night, that's where it ends.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you don't want to be there.
Normally, I'm going back and forth in the middle. So I don't think. Have you done that?
By accident. By accident, and it's Hobo Central.
Yeah. I did get not arrested but detained. For fair jumping when I wasn't trying to fair jump.
You weren't trying to fair jump? You just jumped the gate for no reason?
I was a 14-year-old kid.
Okay.
And we were at the Times Square subway station.
Yeah.
And this is me. This is my goody two shoes days.
Okay.
And there was no Metro card machine, and I didn't have a card, and my phone didn't work. I don't remember what it was.
Had to go.
But my buddy and I, who was visiting, never been to the city before, and we see some cops.
Okay.
So we try to call out to them. They don't hear us.
Okay.
So we hop under the turnstile to go to them, basically be like, hey, we need to get home to our parents, and we're out of money, and and they turn as we're going under.
Yeah.
And we're like, great, you're coming. And they're like, yeah, we're coming. And we start to talk. They go, sir, you're going to have to put your hands behind your back.
No way.
And my friend's losing his mind. He's never been to the city before.
Okay.
And so ended up getting off with a warning. No big deal. But he was terrified.
Shout out to that cop that didn't hold Jacob back.
That's
man.
it.
I love that.
But it was wild.
That's a good story. That's a good subway story right there.
Trying to do good. Trying to do the right thing. And
okay, so when you transitioned over here after that internship. So first of all, who was the internship with?
So I did 2 internships. So one was with a person named Tracy Gershon, who artist manager, A&R person, brought a lot of great talent, up from hotel bars and random places, and got them discovered.
She
and
has
really
a knack for it, basically.
Has a knack for it.
Yeah.
And then this guy named Lanny West, who was also an artist manager. And so it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday at one place, Tuesday, Thursday at another place.
Yeah.
And just a wonderful experience, learning a ton, being really taken care of by some great people. Also free freelancing with some award shows and just kind of diving in. And I did more in a couple weeks here than I did in years in Pennsylvania.
Well, see, that's probably what got you really hooked, right? Is you probably felt the different atmosphere. Yes. So Nashville, talk about a little bit the different type of atmosphere versus New York versus Nashville, because we are kind of the South, but not necessarily the South. So what do you think?
Yeah, so I'll never forget, I was at Edge Hill Cafe, one of my first visits here.
Okay.
And I bought a sandwich and I ran my credit card. It wasn't working because I was traveling. It was flagged.
Yeah.
And the cashier said, "Oh, go sit down, eat your sandwich. You can pay at the end." And I was like, "What if
There's not a lot of people that are just going to take it.
What?
Yeah.
And like in New York, New York, I'd have a line of people yelling at me.
Oh, absolutely. For just waiting and
why are you
holding
wasting
them up.
my time? What's going on? Step out of line. Come on.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah. And it just was just such a poignant moment of someone being just warm and gracious and understanding. And it was just that was one of the moments that spurred me to say, I really like this city. I want to stay here. I want to do more here.
Okay, so now you transition into Nashville, right? And so what got you out of talent management? Because I know that you like to refer to talent management is very much like purchasing a home.
Right.
There's a lot of things that you have to cultivate between the two. But tell me what initially got you out of that business.
So, and what's nice about Nashville, I still freelance. I still work some live events. I still help out.
Yes, you do. Thank you very much for all you do, buddy.
Hooking you up with some concert tickets.
Shh, don't let the people know that.
I don't know.
They're going to come after you. You know that, right?
They can come find me. You got to go to my agent, Tony Mendoza. He's got all the hookups.
Well, let's see.
Let's go. But I ended up buying a house in 2016 as I was graduating. Mm-hmm. And so before that, I'd spent 2 years working on an artist management production studio company.
Okay.
And had managed an artist for a couple of years and really enjoyed it, but it was kind of fizzling out. It wasn't quite clicking the way I'd wanted to. So I was already starting to think, well, what can I do next? Where do I go? I was graduating, and then I bought this house, and I represented myself. And I was like, this is kind of fun. I like the negotiation. I liked searching. Like, this was cool.
Yep.
Don't recommend representing yourself, by the way.
And you enjoyed going through the MLS system, which can be crazy.
I did enjoy searching. I just found myself online continuing to look at houses and what's going on.
You got the bug. Basically, you got the bug.
And so I reached out to a friend of mine named Liza.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, I know you're in music and I know you also work in real estate. Like, tell me more about it. Mm-hmm. And we sat down for a cup of coffee and she was like, oh, you'd be great at this. You should join our team. Give it a shot. I was like, all right, well, you know what? I'm kind of burning out on music. It's a great industry, but it's hard.
It happens to all of us. Right. It happens to all of us. Music just finds a way to it gives you that initial buzz.
Right.
And then the come down from it is astronomical. It happens.
And I'm a big believer in what we call zone of genius.
Okay.
Right? Find that lane that you're really good at, that when it's 4:00 in the morning, that's what you want to do.
Yes.
And do that.
Yes.
And I watched artists and managers and people in the industry who were that with music. Mm-hmm. I wasn't. There were pieces I liked, but it wasn't the whole thing. And I found more business and more other sides that I really liked. So I got into real estate, joined a team, and just started doing it thinking...
Was your first team Compass?
So I was actually on the Dwell Music City team at Village.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yep. So started there, ended up at Compass for a little bit, but just really loved the process, loved working with people, loved the negotiation, the strategy behind it. And kind of went from there.
I mean, that is the one thing that I think most people go into, purchasing homes and helping others purchase homes is really comes down to relationships.
Yeah.
And not only relationships, you have to have their back, right?
Right.
So, and that we love that slogan.
We got your back.
Yeah,
we got your back.
And the thing is, so when it comes down to learning, talk about your learning opportunity, because you can't just straight up go in from where you're at to helping others purchase homes. There's a big learning curve behind that. So kind of tell the people about that learning curve that you had to deal with.
Well, and I think I was lucky to come in with a machine already built, in the sense that in the music industry, I was already asking for informational interviews and meeting with people and following up and kind of knowing how to build a brand.
The process, yeah.
Right. So I kind of came in with that already and just pivoted where I used to be like the guy people would reach out to, but the music industry, it's, well, don't call me about music anymore, call me about houses. So it was like a natural...
It was a natural transition.
But there's a lot of learning about how to negotiate and how to run the process. and I was scared at first. I didn't want to be a used car salesman. I didn't want to be pushy.
Yes.
And it was helpful to learn that you don't have to be. We're matchmakers. We're not selling you on something. We're trying to figure out what's the best fit for you. Both in buying and helping people sell homes. It's what's the best fit? What's the timing? Do you invest in a home to get ready to sell, or do you just throw it up on the market and let it go? So there's a lot of learning, and I was very thankful to be on a team where my team lead at the time did a lot of training and a lot of hand-holding and a lot of, gave us opportunities. And that's what we're trying to do with our team now, is really bring agents through and teach them and train them and really give them that education that I was able to get.
All right, don't go too far in.
I know, I'm jumping
a little bit. Now, okay, so talk to me about living in Nashville now. So you purchased your first home.
Yep.
And, you started realizing, what year was this, by the way?
2016.
So 2016. So before the big kind of growth, it was just starting.
Yes. When I bought, I thought, oh no, I missed the boat. No. When I bought my home, I was like, no, I missed the boat.
That's not true at all.
That's not true, no.
I mean, it is still growing crazy. And we're in the heart of the Gulch right now. And one thing that you can tell me, there's so much construction down the street. Too much construction. Not only that, it's just always growing. And when it comes down to people purchasing their first home, when it comes down to people transitioning from an apartment to a house, this is the time to do it, right? Well, it seems like the market's telling you that it's time to do it.
Well, it's interesting because we're talking about what's the pivot, right? Because when I first started, you've got $1,400 a month and you've got a couple grand, and we're like, come save some money on your rent and go buy a home. But that's it's gone. That world is gone in Nashville. Home prices are up, rates are up. It's a different ballgame, but it doesn't mean you can't invest. Real estate is still one of the best investments. It's one of the highest ranking investments over a 30-year period. There's a lot of benefits to it. It's just you're looking at it differently. So when I first started, the conversation might have been, hey, you've got 2 roommates. Let's get you out of the roommate world, save some money. Well, now what we're telling people is, your mortgage might be $2,600 a month. But you can get a 4-bedroom house, rent out 3 bedrooms at $1,000 a pop. Your mortgage is $25,000. You're taking in 3. You're actually making $500 to live with some buddies. Do you want to live alone? Sure. But for right now, maybe you make that sacrifice and you live with a couple people. It's a little tight, it's a little cramped, but you're making $500 a month to do it.
And that's I guess that is definitely what's going on in a lot of these homes right now, is that it's just ways to make income but not also spend everything you got, because the housing market here is crazy.
It's crazy.
It's definitely, I wouldn't say the bubble hasn't popped, but it is just amazing to see these houses values go from 200,000 to, within 24 months go almost double that, or if even triple, right? Which I'm sure you've seen.
Pre-pandemic, our average 3-bedroom, 2-bath house was about $280,000. In January, it was $480,000, and it is now about $525,000, $530,000.
And that is how far away from downtown?
That's just anywhere in Davidson County, urban.
Oh, really?
core.
So it's not even necessarily...
Not even just downtown. It's just, yep.
Okay, so what do you think about downtown? What you're from the city. You're from New York. You like being downtown.
Right.
Let's call it what it is, right? But now tell me the differences between living downtown, like living in the Gulch, versus having a home, being in a neighborhood, having different types of, I guess, homeowner issues and things like that. Tell me what's the difference.
So, and it's interesting because I'll get people from New York that go, oh, I want to live downtown. I'm like, oh, we've got rules. We can't direct people in certain ways, but the picture of what downtown living in New York City is and downtown Nashville is so different.
Yeah.
Because downtown New York City, you've got miles worth of downtown.
Yes.
Whereas here we've got a couple blocks. So I tell a lot of people, downtown is touristy. Downtown doesn't really have a grocery store, and Whole Foods has gone in. But
speak for yourself, man. I got 2 nice grocery stores right next to me.
Well, and I'm thinking downtown.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just joshing.
Yeah. Well, but that's a great point, because it's starting to grow. You're starting to see that those people moving from other cities looking for that. Well, then when people start to look for that, what happens? Well, stores come in. They start to fill in. I think that what's nice about Nashville is you can be 5, 10, 15 minutes away and be in a neighborhood, have a yard,
absolutely,
have the space. New York City, you can't do that.
Oh, no. And not only that, we do, people try to say that we don't have the infrastructure here to get around easily. That is a total BS, because we do have a lot of these same roads that are parallel to the major highways.
Right.
So if I want to get to your home, if I want to get to another person's home, all I got to take are the back streets and I'm able to get anywhere, you know?
Right.
So
dare I say to be a backstreet boy?
I was trying to come up with one in my head, but you beat me to it.
We're here all week.
Okay, Jacob. So what we were talking about before was kind of that first home buying experience. Now I want to talk about more of your group, right? So the Kupin Group.
Yep.
So walk me through the transition of turning it into. So I believe it's Bradford Real Estate, right?
Sure. Yep.
And then Jacob Kupin and the Kupin Group was formed. Am I correct? Or walk me through that process.
Yeah. So and any realtor either is at their own brokerage or they have to affiliate their license somewhere. So we were affiliated with Bradford Real Estate and really appreciate that partnership. And basically when COVID hit, the rates dropped and home sales skyrocketed and I got thankfully very, very busy. And we did almost 60 homes that year. And doing that by yourself was pretty tough. You know, I was trying to bring clients in as I was trying to run deals, as I was trying to, you know, do post closing and help people out, you know, with their
the whole
homes.
process.
Right, do the whole process.
Yes.
And so I realized I needed help. And so thankfully was introduced to Charles Wilson and Jim Morris, and basically said, "Hey guys, like I kind of want to start a team and want to do something." And it was very organic. It was just, "Hey, let's split some of the commission checks and let's go to work and let's," you know, they wanted to learn. I needed the support. We kind of partnered up, and they were a huge help.
Absolutely. And you know, the beauty of it, Jacob, is that you're able to find pieces, the missing pieces that are in your team, and you're able to put it together as a working team. So that is pretty amazing by itself.
Yeah, thanks.
Now that you have a set group, now you're able to do a lot more seminars. You're able to do a lot more learning activities. So talk to me a couple of those, because I've seen through your Instagram, and that's another thing you guys done really well is in the Kupin Group. We do have a lot of people that are really tech savvy when it comes to social media. And I'm not sure if that initially started with you, but it definitely is making a big difference in the grand scheme of the entire, you know, company, the organization. But talk to me about the seminars that you go to, because I think you learn so much from a seminar. You learn so much from a mentor and just understand a different process. I think that's another great thing about you, Jacob, is that you're able to listen to somebody say what their process is, and then implement it into your own world. So talk to me about a couple of those seminars that you've been through, or at least a couple of those marketing meetings.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, what I think where my skill area is taking and synthesizing other people's good ideas and finding ways to implement it. Right. So we're part of the Tom Ferry coaching program.
Okay.
National Coaching Network. Jason Pantana, who's a marketing guy based out of Nashville, actually worked with him at Village, and he's now heading up marketing for Tom Ferry. But you know, they're a national coaching network.
Okay.
So part of what that gives us is a referral network around the country. So I've had people here move out of state, or people out of state come to me and say, "Gosh, I wish you could sell a home in Austin, Texas." Well, we can. We have a partner out there. So that's been really great. But they also do different trainings and programs around the country. And you know, to your point, I've got the bandwidth where I can go out for a couple of days and go learn and go build that knowledge and bring that back.
Which one's been your favorite, and where has it been?
Oh, there's so many really good ones. I think my favorite, we joined, there's multiple levels of Tom Ferry. You start with core, and then it's elite, and then you go to, we're in the team program now. And that team mastermind program, we went to Dallas a couple months ago, and it was like 100 top team leaders in the country in a room, and Tom Ferry was there, and he was just, you know, sharing a lot of knowledge, and then he put it out to basically your literal round table, and you would just sit and talk and know, you know, Steve in Colorado's doing this, and Brian in Nebraska's doing this, and Stacy in New York's doing that. And it was just this giant mastermind of really cool, really good ideas.
So here's a question for you. So when you have people in your group, do you provide them with this knowledge, not from just a come with me to the seminar, but more importantly, do you have folks in your group read? And what are they reading? What are they learning about? What are they educating themselves beyond what they have to do in their daily life?
We're big about reading. We're big about books. We got, you know, I put all my new agents through. Yeah.
Love books.
Yay books. We put, you know, get all of our new agents reading certain books that we like to read. You know, I think that learning and growing is so important. And having it from different directions. So hearing it from me, hearing it direct from Tom and Jason and Jeff Mays, you know, hearing it from Bobby, hearing it from all the different directions, because sometimes it takes 6, 7, 8 times for something to click.
Yes.
Or sometimes you hear something, you know, and it's, it doesn't make sense, and all of a sudden, oh wow, I see where that plugs in. Mm-hmm. So I think that coming from multiple directions is really important, and that's part of the build for me for this team. You know, is we're not a team that's built necessarily on, here's a bunch of leads, go work them and give us all your money. Mm-hmm. You know, which is, there's a model out there, and it's not a bad model.
Okay.
Right. You know, and not all, you know, it's not all the money, but there's a split there. You know, we're based, I think, more on how do we grow your entrepreneurial vision, right? How do we give you the tools and the support to go grow your business?
Absolutely, man.
You know? Yeah. So it's, and we want it to be a home.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, speaking about homes, we got to talk about the most important thing about purchasing a home, and that is building the relationship.
Yeah.
I think relationships is what makes the difference, because when you are a realtor, and when you are helping a family go to their first home buying experience, or maybe it's their fifth, right? It all comes down to, are you able to connect with that consumer? Right. Are you able to connect with your client from not only, we're going to get you in the best house possible, but we're also going to do everything within our group to make sure that when you pick that home, you are walking away knowing that all the little marks are checked off.
Yep.
So talk to me about how important relationships are, and not only relationships in your business, talk about the networking, because networking,
huge.
Network is your net worth. That's 110%. But talk to me about it.
Well, I think, you know, relationships are so important. Part of where I think we, you know, go above and beyond on both the, you know, helping to purchase a home and helping to sell a home, you know, is building relationships, especially with the other agent, right? Our job is to represent you and your brand and your ability to purchase that home, or you're selling that home to other agents to get you the best deal and the best terms, the best situation, you know? And so, you know, and I think the other piece for us is we care, and, you know, everyone cares, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not, you know, but we really, and it's so, I've got so much pride when I watch the guys on the team and the gals on the team work, because they embody that as well. You know, the idea of we've got your back is it's beyond just, we're going to sell you a house, we're going to build that relationship with you and take care of you. And we want to come to your pizza party in 6 months at your house.
Yes.
Seeing how excited you are based on the equity
being able to
built.
host and everything.
Exactly. So for us, we care deeply. We care as if it's our own transactions. And I think that pushes us, you know, above and beyond. You know, I think back, one of our team members had a condo that was listed, and it went $30,000 over the list price. And I was so proud of him, because he could have stopped. He had 5 offers, $30K over. I mean, he did his job. Yeah. But he said, no, I care about this client. I want to get them the highest and best dollar. And he spent the rest of that weekend pushing to get more money for his client. He didn't have to. He could have gone. He could have been like, I'm done. I did a great job. See ya. Yeah. And he pushed, and he got another $20,000.
Wow. So $50K over the listing.
Over. So, but it was just so cool, because his effort over a weekend, his going from an 80% to 110%, put $20,000 in someone's pocket. And I try to remind the team this, you know, for us, that's just a weekend, right? That's just a, you know, that's another weekend.
That's the mindset you need to go in.
Right. But
absolutely.
For that seller, that's $20,000. That could change her life.
Well, you know, that actually brings up to that second part of the question, right? Is networking. Yeah. So when it comes down to establishing that relationship with the buyer, right, or with the client, what you're doing is, by you going from that 80 to 100% range, right, of giving your full self in the business, right, is that you are networking without even trying to. You're building that relationship. So, because what is it? One happy client will tell someone for sure, but a bad client will tell like 5 other people. So,
well, and it's about relationships. It's about doing a good job, and it's about, you know, like you said, you got a bad experience, you treat someone poorly, you know, you're dishonest, like that reputation shares very, very quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in Nashville too, because Nashville is such a small community. It is big, it is growing, but Nashville really is
still a small town.
There are people that you go to, like your group, and not only that, they stick to those people. You know what I mean? It's super important.
And I've got so much pride. I mean, really, pride is the word. Just watching these guys grow, watching these guys build their business with integrity, with honesty, working hard, doing a good job, you know, and it's just, you know, I feel like a proud parent, like watching them all come together.
As you should, man.
I mean, watching them take care of each other, and the different agents on the team all stepping in to help each other out. And it's just, it's cool to watch that energy be created, and you know, to hear the feedback that people are really enjoying being on the team, they're finding their place. Like that means a lot to me.
Okay, so for the people that are watching right now, you got to let them know this. So where is the best opportunity for, let's say they're looking for their first home. They're ready to get out of the house, get out of the apartment scene or wherever they're at. And where in Nashville has the most growth potential? So I think I have an idea, but
I'm curious to your idea too. Well, first, number one, give us a call. We'll help. We'll help strategize.
Well, you know why? Might as well plug it. Plug it.
Give us a call.
What's the call?
Call right now.
Well, give them the number. You got to give them the number, man.
All right, number 615-440-6673.
There you go. See.
Our phone receptors are standing by, but if you call the next 15 minutes,
okay. So
Tony's going to throw in a no. But we talk
about
North
North Nashville.
So I think that yes, North and East are still a little bit price wise, suppressed from other areas. And I think that what you're seeing is people start in the urban core and they start to spread out. Mm-hmm. And you saw, Brentwood, Franklin, obviously already high dollar. Bellevue's high dollar. You've seen East and Southeast.
These are all suburbs of Nashville.
Nashville, yes. So I think that North and East area is really starting to grow. But we're seeing things even as far as 45 minutes to an hour, really take off. And I think, I encourage people to get out, drive neighborhoods. We got to be careful on how we phrase it, but there are certain cities in this town that people come and say, oh gosh, don't show me such and such area.
Yeah.
And I tell people, go drive that. Because those are big areas that you're writing off in one fell swoop without actually driving and understanding the streets and the neighborhoods and, the
community. Because every neighborhood, regardless where the neighborhood is in Nashville, is a community.
Right.
And within every community, there's bad parts, good parts, and safe parts and non-safe parts.
Yeah, and people ask
everywhere.
People ask, well, is this a safe neighborhood? And what I say is, safety is a feel. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
Go drive it. There are parts of town where one person might feel safe, one person might not feel safe. So I really encourage people to get out and experience different parts. But I think also part of what makes us valuable is I've been in the business 7 years. We've sold hundreds of homes. Mm-hmm. So I'm at the point now, and my first year in real estate self is very thankful because I was terrified back then.
Yeah.
But where you can come to me and say, hey, I want to have, I like nature, I like rolling hills, but I don't want to be too far from, amenities. Cool, I know where to put you.
Gotcha.
Right, so we've got a sense of the different neighborhoods and we can save you that time and give you a sense, but then I also encourage people to get out and experience it as well.
So that leads to my next question. My next question is, what's your favorite part of the process? Your favorite part of the process. Oh. Now, and do not tell me it's the end when you see the family say, here's the keys. We've done the checks and we made sure everything's good. What is honestly your favorite part of the process?
So it's interesting. It's actually farther than that down the road.
Okay.
My favorite part is when I go back and I visit a client 6 months, a year, 2 years later in the home that, we were a little small part of, that they're making a life in. Mm-hmm. It's so cool to me to walk through someone's house and they show me, oh, here's this cabinet and here's the bed and here's and they've made a home. They've made their life.
Wow. So basically from seeing a shell and seeing how someone was able to grow within that shell. Right. Basically.
Well, and it's always a funny moment for me. Because you buy a house, you come and the first time I'm opening the door, we do the inspection, I'm opening the door. And then one day I walk up and I knock. And you're opening the door.
Yeah.
And it's your house. And it's an interesting change.
Total dynamic.
Yeah.
Messes with your mind a little bit.
You're walking me through and I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't I supposed to walk you? So it's just I really like that. And then also I think the top of the process. Mm-hmm. I really like the education, helping people realize maybe they can do something they thought they couldn't do. And I think that's going to be so important these next couple of years in this market. Education is going to be so key. It's not as streamlined as it was 5 years ago. And it's, push a button, buy a house, cool, done. It's going to be strategy. It's going to be, all right, well, you know what? Maybe I do.
It does become more challenging.
Right. Maybe I don't do a 30-year mortgage. Maybe I do a 5-year ARM or a 7-year ARM. Maybe I do partner up and two buddies get together and they say, you know what? We're going to sign a cohabitation agreement that stipulates a process should we no longer remain friends and need to liquidate the, we're going to buy a house. You're putting all the terminology out, man.
Throwing some words.
Man, I love buzzword run. But yeah, I think it's that education and then that very final part.
Okay, so it's speaking of family, speaking about that business, and not only that business, hearing other people, talk so highly of yourself too. We also have some phone calls for you, some questions on our section Crowd Noise. So we have your fans, your friends come and call in to see a question for you. Okay, are you a little nervous about this?
I'm so curious as to who it is and what the questions are.
Well, I mean, they don't ever say their names, okay? Also because they didn't sign a release. So here we go.
There you go.
Jacob, what is your most memorable client story?
My most memorable client story. Oh God, there's so many of them.
The one that sticks out in your head the most.
That sticks out in my head the most. I think one that comes to mind is that there was a property where we were walking around the backyard, and there was a shed, and my client wanted to know what was in the shed. So I was like, "Oh, I'll open the door up." And I open the door, and I hear a woman's voice go, "Occupied."
Really?
And it turned out that the seller of the home was hiding there during the showings, and didn't think anyone was going to open the door.
What?
So, and my client's like, "What is?" Like, we all like booked it out of there.
Yeah. Have you? And that's actually another question. So I want to ask you a question before we get to our last other question. Is what do you do when you have you ever experienced a squatter?
If I ever experienced a squatter, I don't think I've experienced a squatter. We did have one house where we walked in and we get into the bedroom and there was a guy with his legs up and fluids draining out and a board with medicine on. He goes, "Oh, I'm a friend of the owner. They're letting me stay here." And I'm thinking to myself, maybe that wasn't the time to have a medical house guest during
my gosh.
Yeah. But I will say, another client memory, and this really speaks to why we do what we do, is I had a set of clients who were in the normal amount of like student loan debt and credit card debt and all that, and they worked very, very hard. There are a couple different programs to get that debt managed enough that they were able to buy a home back in like 2018, 2019 or so, and they bought the home, stayed in it a couple of years, and then decided that they were going to move out of state back home, and the home had gone up $220,000 in value.
Really?
Since they bought it.
That much?
That much. They bought a part of town that really appreciated it, and it was just so cool that through, they made a year or two of sacrifices, ramen noodles and, staying at home and all that.
The Dave Ramsey
type. Yeah, Dave Ramsey scenario, and saved up a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. Bought this home, mm-hmm. and then now they've walked away with $200,000. So they went from deep in the hole to really profitable through real estate. And that to me is one of the cool things. I tell people that are, especially in our age bracket, that it's a great retirement vehicle.
Absolutely.
Right? And obviously we're not retirement advisors. We've got to disclaim that, but it's a way. It's a growing asset. It's a way to build long-term wealth. And these are people that were never going to save $200,000 just from working on ramen noodles, but they were able to do that through real estate. So just and they've set themselves up for life.
That's a great story. So, I like that story right there. That was a good one. Yeah. Okay, so we got another question for you right here.
Jacob, who is your biggest inspiration, and have you met them?
Who's my biggest inspiration? Well, Tony Mendoza. What do you mean?
I'm not your biggest inspiration, but I'll take it anyway. But anyway, go ahead. Tell me. Your biggest inspiration. Man.
Who's my biggest? Well, I think my biggest inspiration who I've not met and won't be able to meet was Steve Jobs.
Really?
The way, he pushed reality. Okay. They would talk about that in the biographies and the books about him. He would say, "We're going to do it this way." And everyone's like, "It can't be done this way." And it's like, "We're going to do it this way." Now, there are parts about him that aren't great because from what I've read and studied, he pushed his team very, very hard and made a lot of enemies through that. But he defied reality and he changed the world. And he did it in a way that was innovative and, didn't stop. The man got kicked out of a company he created. I don't know how much you know about him, but
I have watched a lot of movies. I think there's 2 movies out that you can actually see about Steve Jobs' backstory.
But I love that. He built Apple. He got kicked out of Apple, and he said, "Kicked out of my company. What am I going to do?" And then he founds Pixar.
Yeah.
And he built Pixar. It's just he never gave up. He kept going, and so it's really an inspiration to see that. But that's kind of the high level.
Okay, so tell me someone who is living that you are watching kind of from afar away, that you're saying, okay, this person has it figured out. This person obviously is where I'd like to be in the next 5 years. Is there someone that you're currently looking? There has to be.
I think there's a lot of pieces.
Okay, so not one person.
Not one person, but I look at people like Mike Zeller and Bobby Noreen, who are real estate coaches of mine. I look at Tom Ferry.
Give him the flowers.
That's it. Let's go. people, there are other real estate teams in town that I look at, and to me, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pull all the pieces together. I see a lot of different teams out there that do one or two things really, really well.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out how can we bring those all into one space? Can we bring those all under one roof?
Well, we're getting to the point of this interview where I do want to ask about the haters, and not necessarily the haters, right? But more importantly, what is it like to so I guess when you're creative, because you're a very creative person, and also you actually play, what is it, how many different instruments do you play?
A handful,
right? I think drums is one, right? Or no,
guitar, bass guitar, piano.
Yep. And then you can also sing.
I could sing, and then air guitar. It's my
air guitar is your new thing. That's hilarious, but nothing that these guys need to know about yet, and not until at least you make it to the final round, and then we'll
talk about it. It's after nationals.
So here's the thing. So everyone who's creative has a competitor, and it's not necessarily a competitor, but what they do is they look at the competitor, they understand what that competitor is doing to be successful, and they're like, okay, this is how I can make it better. And that is something that I'm realizing, speaking to all these different entrepreneurs, everyone who has their own business, their own thing, they do have someone that they're looking at. Now, we're not going to shout them out by any chance, but do you see the same thing too? Do you look at someone who's doing it right, someone who is knocking it out of the park, but then you're like, in the back of your head is like, yeah, they're doing it great, but I could do it better.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that out there where I see something like, this is good, this is a good model, but I think I can improve, I think I can make it better. So I think there definitely is that, and then I think that there's also the continual challenge. There are people that I'll see in groups or in situations where I don't think it's necessarily jealousy, but I'll say, oh darn, I wish I could be doing that. But that's what drives me. I see that, and to me that fuels me. That makes me say, you know what, I'm going to go figure out a way to do this better. I'm going to figure out a way to push. So I almost like being beaten down a little bit, not a lot. Some days it's a lot, but when it's just a little bit, it kind of fuels me to say, you know what, this person's here. Well, I'm going to get here, and by the time I get here, maybe they're up here. There's
so you need that. You need that little competitive edge with somebody where you look at them and you're like, okay, they're here at 2 years. I would like to be here in 3.
There's a good buddy of mine, and I'll shout him out because he'll appreciate it. But my buddy Greg Faricelli, great guy, phenomenal businessman. And he, when we kind of started at Village around the same time, and every time I did 20 transactions, he did 40. When I did 40, he did 80, and it was always like, oh man, I got to catch him, and we're doing we do different things. We're going in different directions, but I like people like that. I like to be in an environment where I'm being pushed and challenged. And again, that's been one of the cool things about the team is they've brought stuff to me. As much as I'm teaching them, they're teaching me.
Have you ever thought about going into consulting? So once you feel that your Kupin Group has been able to sustain for a long period of time, and then obviously that means that your knowledge worked, and that means that your tactics worked. Have you ever thought about going into consulting into another group to help them prosper? Excuse me.
So I think to that point, get this stable, get this rolling. I think I would do it in another city. I'd pick a city that I really like, that I really enjoy. My wife likes to travel. Let's go find somewhere else and build this and take the principles and the structure that we are building and implement it somewhere else. I think that's kind of the long-term vision of it. I think that, for me, once I get this rolling, it'll be a little bit of a period of rest on the laurels for a second just to catch my breath. But I do think that I see that growth laterally. I don't know if I would consult per se as much as I would want to grow it again.
Grow another one.
And there's a good, another realtor friend of mine, and that was his advice, is he built a team, and for a couple of years, he couldn't figure out why he couldn't complete it. And what he realized is he likes to fix things, so he kept breaking it so he could fix it again.
That's pretty funny.
And so finally he's like, all right, I'm not going to touch this anymore. I'm going to go move to a different...
To a new one to restart it from the ground up.
He's in 22 cities now, and he's built a really great business.
Well, you know what? I want you to look into this camera, and I want you to talk to the viewer who is thinking about taking that dive, taking that next step, maybe going into real estate, maybe changing the way that they always do life. And I want you to give them some pointers. What's the best point of entry into this business? And not necessarily that, what should you be going into looking for in this business?
Well, I'm going to steal some advice that a Broadway actor actually, I did interviews when I was in the music industry, and I asked him what's his best advice and for someone who wants to get into Broadway, and he said, don't do it. And he paused, and then he said, if that deters you, you're in the wrong field. If that makes you want to do it even more, you're in the right field. I think a lot of people get into real estate because they think, oh, they make money and they get to do whatever they want, freedom of schedule. And all. It's a job. You are building a business. You're an entrepreneur. It's a phenomenal career. It's a rewarding career. There's no ceiling. You could make, Bobby Noreen said one of the first things she told me is the newest person and the most experienced person can make as much money and sell as many homes as they want. It's about the work and what you put into it. But, it takes time. You've got to build it. It is not an easy road. And I also tell people, join a team. I mean, part of how I've gotten to where I've gotten to is by learning from other people and growing from other people. I could never have done this on my own. I could never have done this without mentorship and guidance and continual learning. So, like I said, if you're deterred by the resistance, it's not for you. There's no ceiling, but there's no floor. But if you want an adventure, you want to work hard, you want to, build your own destiny, then real estate's the career for you.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. See, you're dropping knowledge to the people that are watching this. So tell me what's next. So we got a little bit of time left, and you tell me what is next in your field. What will you like to accomplish by the end of the year, maybe next year?
This next 6 months is probably the scariest and most exciting and most interesting time of my career. We are at the end of a cycle that began before I was even in real estate. We're at the end of a 13-year, I believe it is, growing market, right? And growing world. So everybody's on the same playing field. Me and the new agents and people who've been doing this for 30 years, we're all in this new world. And so by the end of this year, where do I want to be? I want to have a handle on it. And we're getting there. We're pivoting our marketing. We're pivoting our approaches. We're changing the business around. But I want to be where we're soaring like we were last year.
And we're talking about the market, right? And indirectly, we're talking about, it's not a recession yet.
Right.
But we're talking about these next 6 months, we're going to be going through it's going to be a lot more tougher. Your buck has to stretch longer.
And I think it's going to take more effort on our realtor's part to come in and educate and to really deep dive. It's not just, hey, Tony, want to save some money on your rent? Come buy a house. Cool. Awesome. Right. It's, hey, Tony, let's sit down for 60 minutes and understand what your 30-year plan is and how can real estate be a part of that? And how can we be part of getting you into the right home at the right place? Or, the other thing we're talking to people about is I've got first-time buyers that bought in the last 2 months. We're going back through them and saying, hey, open a HELOC and have access to that cash. Right? If you needed to pay off a student loan or a credit card, part of it right now, I think, is bringing value beyond just we're going to transact real estate. It's how can you use the real estate you already own to improve your
knowledge.
Life. It's a lot of knowledge investment. It's a lot of, and it's back to the basics.
Yeah,
back to the basics that built this business.
Well, I mean, look, we have faith in you. We know that you're going to get through this, and I hope it's going to be in shining colors. So, but for everyone that wants to see Jacob in action, this is a part that we call walk the line. And walking the line obviously is a day in the life with you. So this next couple 10 minutes is going to be what you do in your daily life. So if I can, you look to this camera right here, you go straight in, and what you say is, hey, I'm Jacob Kupin, and this is how I walk the line. So whenever you're ready, after this applause.
I'm Jacob Kupin, and this is how I walk the line. This is Jacob Kupin. We're waiting for a client to show them this great house, and this is how I walk the line. You see it? Got a cool one for you to check out today.
Yeah, man.
No, it's
really
a little.
like the outside.
Good news, it's a little low on your budget. It's only 1.6.
Gotcha.
4 bed, 4 bath, 5,000 square feet. Come on in. Pretty nice house.
Yeah.
I like the double fireplaces.
I was gonna say, are they both operational? Both operational.
Never checked earlier.
Yeah, this is
Nice room for the pool table or a dining room.
it looks a little bit older, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's 1908. Actually, the description says 1906, but the listing is 1908. So that's just real estate.
Say 1907.
Yeah, there you go. Average it out. Average it out. Yeah, so buying older homes can have its own host of problems, especially if it has original plumbing, electrical, things like that. So you want to make sure you're getting a thorough home inspection. And sometimes with these homes like this one here, we look for clues like updated panel work or owner records, but sometimes you don't know what's behind the walls. So you can have issues, you can have fire hazards. Also, a lot of older homes have bumps and bruises, so you want to make sure you're ready for the fact that this may need some maintenance, it may need some more love than a brand new house. But the upside of it is it's got a lot of charm, it's got culture, it's got history, so again, it's kind of pros and cons depending on what you prefer. Yeah, so the Belmont area is great. You're walkable to shops and restaurants. You've got that college energy around you. Great proximity to downtown Nashville, to 12th South, all these great areas. And you pay for it, right? The home price has gone up. I remember you could buy a home here for $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. Now you're looking into the millions and up. I mean, this is 1.6, and this is probably on the lower end. We're gonna see some potentially later today that are in the 2s and 3 millions in this area. So we've been in an older home. Let's go see a new construction and compare apples to oranges. So we're here at 4024 General Bate Drive, offered by Erin Kruger and her amazing real estate team. Really appreciate her letting us be here today. 6 bedrooms, 6 bath, $3.75 million for this one, about 7,200 square feet. So let's go on in and check it out. There it goes, hear it? Bang. Yeah, so with this budget, you're gonna get a really nice big yard. It's not always commonplace in this part of town to get a big yard like this, but so you get what you pay for. Shout out to Erin Kruger and her entire team for letting us come out here today and film. Really appreciate her. Really great realtor out there, and that's what's one of the greatest things to me about the Nashville real estate community is we know each other, we support each other, we love working on deals with each other. So really cool environment to work in. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
These modern homes, right now we're seeing a lot of blacks and whites. So a couple of years ago, it's really interesting in real estate, you saw kind of dark hardwood floors, agreeable gray on the walls, some softer colors. We're really seeing blacks and whites emerge, and we're seeing this light color. So a couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, if you had this light floor, you'd sand it dark. Well, now we're doing it light, and that's kind of what's cool about real estate to me is it's constantly changing, the trends change, the styles change, and part of what we do at the Kupin Group is talk to designers, talk to builders, understand really what's the best way to design a home for sale and for enjoyment. So feel free to reach out to us at info@thekupingroup.com or our number 615-281-9035. You can also reach me at jacob@thekupingroup.com. We love helping buyers, we love helping sellers, but most importantly, we're consultants, right? We're not just here to sell you a house and be gone with it. We're here after the process to make sure it's a great home, and also before the process. If you've got questions, you want to know what's a HELOC, what kind of loans can I get, what's a first-time home buyer benefits, give us a call, reach out to us, again, 615-281-9035, info@thekupingroup.com. Find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. We would love to help you, and at the end of the day, we always have your back.